Hi guys, so it's Joy Rowan, and today's topic, I'll just move my things out of the way so I've got the paper in front of me, is about pagan trading. I was going to make a video about pagan trading a week ago or 2 weeks ago, before I went on my week off, and I held off. I thought to hold off on it, and this is why. I was having a chat with my friend day before, and she was talking about the haul videos, and the aspect of them that can be very much consumerism. And should pagans be buying into consumerism? Should we be buying into buying things, and people who just go out and buy everything and keeping up with the neighbours and that sort of thing? We were having a talk and chat about it. As far as my Halloween haul videos, I preceded the first one saying, and maybe I should have preceded them all saying, that I save up all year for my Halloween bits and pieces. So I spend a fair amount of money at Halloween, Samhain, on this and that. I also create things. I haven't done my creating videos yet, which is something else. But I save up all year round. I have less for my birthday. I have less at Xmas. I put that money into the Samhain fund. It's very carefully planned so that once a year I can splash out. I can go buy anything that really tickles my fancy and I really enjoy it. And I really like decorating, because it brings an added bit of fun and bit of joy. Like, I've saved up all year round and I get to spend it. I mean, that to me is something great. And the other thing about the haul videos, I mean, I really enjoy watching other people's haul videos. Like, what did they get? Oh, that's interesting. Oh, could I find something similar? That's really cute. And part of this is, when I was growing up, I was one of 3 sisters, and when the other one had gone shopping with their friends or whatever, we would all clamber into their bedroom on the way home, like, what did you get? What bargains did you find? Oh, that's nice, I might borrow that. And that was just a huge, exciting part of being a sister growing up. So for me, the haul videos was just sort of like an extension of that. But then I sort of thought, have I been naive about this? Like, are there people out there who are thinking that it's like showing off, or look what I've got, or keeping up with the neighbours and that sort of thing? And I thought it's possible, it's very possible, especially as my friend brought it up. So I will precede every haul video with that little message, but I thought I would put this out there, and I'm going to cover all and talk about all aspects of pagan trading in a minute. Because it is a very special time of year to me. I do haul videos. I show things I make, and incenses and candles, and I've got all sorts of things that I want to make for Samhain Halloween, because my nephew, who's 3, is coming to visit me with my sister, and it's his first big Halloween. It's the first time he can really enjoy it, being 3. So we're going to make games, and it's going to be really exciting. So apologies if anybody else thought of that watching the haul videos, like felt disgruntled about it, but it hadn't actually crossed my mind, because like I said, me and my sisters used to do this thing where it was exciting, and so I want to do this in the spirit of enjoyment, and like, how do other people in different parts of the world decorate, and what's available to them. And I can understand the consumerism argument, because for a lot of points in this next bit where I discuss pagan trading, mass consumerism is a problem. And the 2 holidays that are one after another now is Halloween or Samhain, depending on whether or not you're pagan, and then Xmas or Yule. Oh, excuse me, I've got the sniffles. Oh dear. Lovely, just what you come to a YouTube channel for. And they especially Xmas, and it's got so consumeristic. I know people who call it consumermus, my gnome's like that. He gets really peed off, and I get peed off with those stuff for Xmas in September. Like, bye, 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 bye. And I can fully understand why, you know, that's irritating to people, because it sort of loses the message, the underlying reason of the holidays. And it happens a lot with Samhain, Halloween as well. And I hadn't really thought about it, because Halloween here in England isn't the same as in, say, America. I know in America it's bigger, and there's a lot more of the candies about, and you know, it's you can see it more consumeristically than here. Where, you know, versus, say, making your own, because you could make your own sweets and treats and cakes and things. And we've got a really fabby recipe for making a cake, which is how to make a cake so the cake sponge looks a dark black, and then it has like orange bits inside it, and I found a recipe for doing that. So we may or may not make that, depending on money, because even though we have money set aside for Halloween, it's not that much money. So there are make it videos to come, and I fully support everybody, you know, making your own stuff. And all over YouTube there are how to make this, how to make that, you know, and trying things out. Sometimes you're not going to be able to, and I will proceed this video, the rest of this video, by saying I personally support little local businesses, because the act of possession and trade is throughout history. I honestly believe back in caveman times, you know, one person has a whole load of meat, another person has a whole load of berries, they're going to trade a bit, you know. I reckon it's at the foundation of human society. Trade and commerce has always been there. The problems with it become when it's more about greed and the big businesses that basically exploit, and that's the problem. But I fully support, like, you know, people on YouTube, little communities. I'm gonna sneeze, excuse me. Oh, I think it's the cold weather. Oh, I'm so sorry. I support people on who like create their own stuff and then go on and sell it. There is some lines of thought within paganism that I've heard before, that people say you shouldn't. You should never sell the items that you make. But we live in a consumeristic world. People got to make money. People got to eat. People got to live. Unfortunately, it's just the basis of society. Unfortunately, money is an ugly thing, and it makes the world go round. Unfortunately, I hate the whole concept, generally speaking, but it's just the way the world is. And so the rest of this video is about the buying and selling of mystical and magical items and the problems therein. So this is nothing new. Throughout history, there have been the selling of magical and mystical and religious items. One good example is in the Crusades, when most of Europe went to war against Islam. There was the open selling of relics, which was a huge part of the financial benefit of people going to the Crusades. A lot of it was money inspired the Crusades. If you're interested, go research it. And it's often like the bones of saints, or like fingernails of saints, like things like that, or blood, and there was a huge business in real chips of the true cross. Even now that still exists, with like the shroud. I've forgotten what it's called. You know, the shroud that Christ was wrapped in, and this whole historical thing trying to prove whether it's real or not. But in the time of the Crusades, like there was so many different accounts of bits of the real cross. It was so silly, and there was and I couldn't find my information before I started. There was some like backlash about fake stuff. I can't remember about that, but so it's just my point there is the sale of mystical and magical items has been around a long time. You get talismans against the plague in England, Black Death. You know, there's loads and loads and loads of different examples of this. And in recent news, I guess, it came under fire that eBay, and I don't know if Etsy have done it as well, but I know eBay did, where you're not allowed to sell spells on eBay anymore. Some people thought this was a good thing, and in some ways it was going to stop people who were inexperienced buying spells that just weren't going to work. And then other people were like, this is prejudice against pagans selling items because other religious things haven't been squashed in the same way. I personally don't agree with it, because eBay is supposed to be a place where free trading of anything is available. That was the whole point of them, within certain guidelines, but obviously morally and ethically, and obviously somewhere along the line spells became morally and ethically unquestionable to them. I don't believe in that. I think that it's starting to put things in place which they shouldn't have done. People have sold all sorts of crap on there. I mean, there was huge hoo-ha, I guess, about the person who sold their virginity on there, and it was all a con. But they didn't put a stop to that. And then people have put souls up for there, and there's huge news things about that. They didn't stop that, but then they can say that spells are questionable. I don't know. I don't know. I think that it's a little bit iffy, personally, as far as the whole eBay thing is concerned. But as I said, there are questions about, about buying pagan trading within even pagan books that you'll read. Like, I've read, I think it was a Scott Cunningham book, and he was like, or it might not have been, but it was basically, you should never haggle over the price of magical items because you are then tainting their energy. That was one thing I remember reading. And there are some people that ascertain that you should never buy, you should make everything. Now, I'm not behind that. I fully believe in supporting local pagan business. This being said, I've had a mixed bag when it's come to shopping with pagan communities, and I'm going to discuss their ethics then versus buying actual things first. So I've bought from a couple of companies that, excuse me one second, a couple of companies that have really let me down, and one in particular used being paganism as an excuse for poor business practices. I ordered a statue from this company in question, and it was listed as in stock, and I was really excited about it. It was a green goddess statue. And it had like all nature, plants and things all in it. It was one of the goddess statues where she's holding her arms over. And it was really, really beautiful, and up to that point they'd only seen them in American websites. And I'm always a little bit dubious about ordering from American websites because customs is a pain in the backside. So when this company was like, listed it, I was really, really excited, and the price was reasonable. I think it was about £15 or something, and for a statue. So I was like, okay, I'll order one, and it was in stock. And I checked it was in stock, and I ordered it, and they took the money like that. I mean, seconds later, and a week later it hadn't been shipped. So I contacted them, and I was like, well, I ordered this from you a week ago, and it was all listed as being in stock. I checked before I ordered it, and it's not been shipped. oh, well, as pagans, we are committed to making sure you get the best quality items because we believe in all this pagan-y blah, blah, blah. We have to make sure you get the correct item and it will be shipped within 3 days. Well, I was a bit peed off because anybody saying that we haven't shipped it yet because we are good pagans, when it was listed as being in stock, so that's dishonest, basically, it wasn't in stock. And I sent back, 3 days later it still wasn't shipped, and they were like, then they admitted it wasn't in stock. And they were going to be getting it in stock within a week, and then it would be shipped. So a little bit irritated by this point, I waited, and it then status changed, shipped. Now, I had paid for first class delivery. A week later, it had not arrived. I asked, where on earth is it? It's supposed to have been shipped first class over a week ago. And it's not turned up yet. You've said to me, you've personally guaranteed on the website and in personal emails that you have shipped it. Where is it? I got that same bullshit email. We are good pagans, we are committed to meh, 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 meh. How is that relevant? And 6 weeks after I initially ordered this item, it still hadn't arrived. And they basically had lied about getting it in. They had lied about shipping it because it never showed up. I eventually managed to get a full refund 6 weeks later. But I will never, ever, ever buy from this company ever again. There have been other companies that have let me down less seriously than that. They say something is in stock, it's not, then you get a refund, or I've had that in a couple of places, but this first place, and I will never ever order from them again, really, really let me down. I was really cross. And that really peed me off because it was basically using the name of paganism for bad trading, for bad trading ethics. Now, if you are going to trade in pagan items, you should uphold those high standards of moral and ethics within your business practices, as far as I'm concerned. Paganism has, depending on obviously which branch you follow, but in most branches, so Wicca and there are like rules of the witch, there are you know, in all walks of life, most walks of life, let's say, because I'm sure there are some that are a bit dodgy, there's this strong moral sense of what's right and wrong, about charging fairly, about honesty, and this company lied and lied and lied and took my money and lied. And I did get my money back after a lot of emails where I was getting really cross, and I was like, I'm going to go to trading standards if you don't sort this out now. You know, 6 weeks of being lied to, basically. That being said, I've had better and decent experiences with other companies. I have put out many, many videos about Pagan Dreams because I think they are fantastic. Every single time I've ordered from them, I have got next day delivery, without fail. Some days I've ordered really late in the day and I've still got next day delivery. I put that video out recently where I ordered 3 in the afternoon and it came the next day. I was incredibly impressed, and that time I hadn't paid for shipping. So there are companies out there that are worth your business, etc. Now, at that point, that's a good point to say, should we buy at all? Is not consumerism a negative thing? Is not big business a negative thing? Like people like Pagan Dreams. Well, people like... The thing about big business, there are problems with consumerism, and then there's like the way that they ruin holidays, like I already said, like consumer mass. which is basically selling you 10 tons of shit you don't need to get your money. And it's like Fight Club, you know, like working your ass into the ground for shit you don't need. So should we as pagans buy anything? Well, it all comes down to a personal and moral stance, basically. Can you be self-sustaining? A lot of people cannot be self-sustaining. A lot of people have busy jobs and couldn't possibly grow their own stuff, or whatever. And shopping becomes a reality. So this is a little bit in general first. A little bit moving away from paganism, but not quite, because I mean the morals and ethics of paganism apply in all trading. So, for example, food. Wherever possible, my gnome and I buy locally. We have a local trading fruit and vegetable shop in the village, and they source locally as much as possible. And they have eggs in there, they have local jams that a lady locally makes, and pickles and things. They have the fruits and the veg, milk. What else do they do? They do a few range of spices and herbs. Obviously some of the spices are not locally sourced. It's where possible. Flowers, that's the other thing. And then we have a local butchers who rear and slaughter all our own meats. It's all done within their ethical guidelines. I know a lot of pagans here are going to be vegan and vegetarian, and I fully respect your choice, so fully respect mine, please. That's a whole other video, and I'm not touching it because it's an area where people get quite upset. It does tie into something else I want to say in a bit, though. I am fully against animal testing. I think animal testing is, especially in cosmetics, is hurting animals for our own vanity. It's just, but yeah, so we buy locally wherever possible. There is a farmer's market in the next village over, and they come from, you know, all around, and they've got the veg, bread, cakes, all locally done, all locally made. What else? Tons of stuff, tons and tons of local stuff. And I will say on one point, we barely eat any meat. We barely eat any. We have chicken and fish, and we don't have that much fish. So we don't eat very much of it, and when my last time we've had chicken was at the roast chicken on Maybon, and we have not had since. There you go. So, you know, whatever. That again is a personal choice. So buying locally and supporting local business is something that I support, rather than necessarily just going straight to the supermarket who fly things in from other countries, the fuel cost, the footprint that they're leaving because they're petrol and airplanes to ship things in, and it's polluting the environment, etc. And as pagans, we should be aware of issues that affect trading, like animal testing, like our green footprint, like it's not slave labour, but the exploitation of workers in poorer countries in order to make high designer goods. All things like that we should be aware of, and we should investigate. Now let's go into animal testing because it's the easiest one to address, and I have a couple of bits because a bit of show and tell as well, just to break up me talking on the video. So from a cosmetic point of view, animal testing is something that I believe all pagans should be against. Animal testing for the sake of human vanity, I disagree with it. So this is the one way in which big business and their principles can be questionable and problematic. For example, for many years I bought from the Body Shop, believing them when they spout about being against animal testing, etc, etc, etc. They built a business, a big business, off of that principle. The seller, the creator of Body Shop, then sold out for 362 billion to L'Oreal. L'Oreal test on animals. By the way, if you want to check whether or not a company tests on animal, go check out the PETA website, PETA. Go check them out. They have lists of who does, who doesn't, what's safe, what's not, and there's no excuse for being oblivious or whatever to this. PETA have a really simple, easy to use website. Off you go. And it is, I don't know if it's legal for businesses to say whether or not they test on animals, but most businesses will state if they don't, you know. I checked out recently whether Superdrug did because of their bargain basement makeup line, Makeup Academy, where everything's £1 or a little bit more in some cases. Superdrug, for example, do not test on animals with all their own products, but they do stock products that do, L'Oreal. So, it's up to you whether you buy from places like that. So, Body Shop sold out to L'Oreal. There was upcry. She claims some nonsense, but basically she sold out her moral and ethical beliefs, especially when you consider it was all about money, because the second highest bidder was Lush. Now, Lush have been gunning for animal rights since their inception. I had a look on their website, excuse me, and if you don't know about Lush's animal testing activism, go check on lush.co.uk or lush.com. Right at the top it says our values. They're against animal testing. They are against using any products in animal testing. They will not trade in countries that demand animal testing. There was a big hoo-ha recently about countries going into China which demands it, and they were taken off the PETA list. I'll show you a couple of Lush products in case you don't know what I'm talking about. I only use Lush products on my skin. I have used Lush since they became available in Nottingham in the 90s sometime. Since I was young, quite young. Probably 12 years, if not more, I've been using Lush products. They're often known as That Soap Company. That's what most people know them for, but they do a lot of other products, and they have just ventured into makeup. They did have a sister company which shut down, and now Lush have brought makeup into their stores. So they're available online, lush.co.uk or lush.com, but they're everywhere, basically. So they don't test on animals. They don't use any products that are tested on animals. They don't operate in companies that demand animal testing. They do not buy from suppliers that use animal testing at any point. They have huge charities that they put money into to do with that and to do with other things. And they have demonstrations. Recently, if this is not for the faint-hearted, so if you're going to Google this, be aware of that first. They did a demonstration where they had a woman in, I don't know if she was in a shop window, in one of their major stores, I think it was in London, and they showed her undergoing what happens in the process of animal testing. I know she was force-fed milk. She was shown to have wires coming out of her and being electric shocked, shown to. They showed, like, shaving her head. They showed this, that and the other. And it was a shock tactic to appall people, and it did, to show this is what actually happens, because people just don't think about animal testing. So here's two, it's sort of like to smack the idea in through visual representation rather than just saying it, which people can ignore easier. So these are two products that I use regularly. There are more products that I use regularly. Aroma water. This is a tonic. It's a tonic. Toner. You know, like cleanse, tone, moisturise. And I love the way that Lush do them. And they have a little spray cap. So you get your little cotton pad or whatever and spray it on, or you can spray it on your face and cleanse. Right. And then Imperialis moisturiser. I also use Ultra Bland for taking all makeup off, and Angels on Bare Skin is my cleanser, which are both in the bathroom and are probably wet because I used them this morning. So those are just to show you what the visual products look like. Okay, so that then leads into making your own. Should you sell your own that you make? Well, I personally have no problem with people making their own and then selling them. I think you can support local businesses. If you know the person, or you can get to know the person and you can discuss it with them and discuss their morals and ethics behind business. I think that is a healthier way to invest in Pagan-y products in particular, or apply Pagan-y or witchy or whatever you want, moral codes of ethics to the products that you buy, even if they're not Pagan-y or witchy. Now, what about pagan items in particular? Right, well, let's go back to spells. With all the outcry that's been about them recently. Personally, I have absolutely nothing against people selling spell bags. And the reason is, when I first started, I found it a really wonderful thing to be able to go buy a spell. Not necessarily to cast a spell, but to see how one would put it together, to see what people put into them, see how people did it, to look at it and think, are these items that I would have picked, and if so, why? And if questioning it, like the other video, I've always done that, and I do enjoy that aspect of hauls on videos as well, because it allows you to sort of grow in your own mind. How would I do this myself? Would I change this? Take inspiration from something. That's a really wonderful thing about YouTube haul videos and things like buying spells and stuff. Then there's stuff like herbs. Some herbs you're not going to be able to grow yourself. Some resins especially are going to be harder to come by. That market that I talked about in the next village over, there's a pagan lady who has her own stall, a local pagan lady, and I go as often as I can because I'm supporting a local pagan trader who's small time. There are people who will say you should not buy this, you should not buy that, you should not buy a wand, you should make your own. That's the one I heard when I bought my wand. Now that wand was made, I was in Canterbury at the time, and that wand was made by a local lady who did, you know, worked with her trees, and she blessed them and she created them and put all her energy into them, and they were one-offs. And at that time I could never have made my own. I was in uni, it was near the start of the path. The thing called to me, I still have it. It's a powerful little bugger. And I loved it, and at the time people tried to make me feel guilty for buying it. All you care about is the paraphernalia. Now, when this happens to a lot of newbies, when they start out, they get so excited that they go out and get everything, because they want to get everything and have everything and get started, and it's that huge enthusiastic burst. And the easiest place for people to start with is altars, or buying tools, or buying I don't know, jewellery, spell kits maybe, herbs, spices, resins, yada yada yada. And I really disagree with people who get at them, because part of me thinks that you are squashing their enthusiasm. And that happened to me, that people made me feel guilty about my enthusiasm as being a newbie. There is nothing to say that you couldn't make your own as well. What's to say that I couldn't make my own wand as well as the one I've got? I could if I wanted to. You know, with herbs it comes into a lot. I can't physically grow my own. I'm not allowed to touch the garden. I can grow a couple in pots on the windowsill, and we have done it from time to time. But the problem is with that. The problem is with that is that the gnome likes to use herbs in cooking. So we tend to get herbs that I can have uses for and he can have uses for, and I will come down and they're all gone. So I tend to put mine separately for the most part, and I use them and I create with them. And I do buy herbs, I do support Pagan Dreams, I do support local pagan businesses, the small time trader on the market stall. I personally feel positively about that. I'm conscious of companies' ethics and trading, and especially with, like, I don't buy from Body Shop anymore. For the minute they sold out, I stopped buying from them. I used to buy their coconut body stuff because I loved it, and I used to buy it regularly. And when they did that, stopped buying from there. Full stop. Just stopped. Full stop. And I was sad because I like their coconut body butter thing. I like their heat up face mask thing. They had a really nice orange serum for the face, which was really good for on my skin. It felt lovely, and can't buy that anymore. So. But I would rather stick to, especially with cosmetics, like barium I'm obsessed with, and they're against animal testing. Thank goodness. I don't know what I'd do otherwise. So basically what I'm trying to get at, it is the value and worth of a thing. The value and worth of an item has to coincide with a personal integrity, a personal choice, a personal decision. There's no point in this day and age claiming ignorance to it. There's no, you know, oh, I didn't know, oh, I didn't know. Well, as a pagans, this is something we should think about, you know. We should question where everything comes from, where, you know, question the information. Most companies will get back to you if you ask them. Most companies nowadays have it stated in their business practice. And failing that, the PETA website, as I said. So have I covered everything I think I wanted to cover? I think I'll finish off with just a few more thoughts about the holidays, about Samhain and Xmas, Yule. There is nothing wrong with supporting local business, as far as I'm concerned. I try my utmost to not buy as much as from larger scale businesses. I do go and get bits and pieces. Technically, TK Maxx, for example, would be considered one of the big businesses, and I have gone and got Halloween stuff from there. I don't want people to think there is a judgment or a guilt trip involved in this anywhere. What I am saying is not that. I am not saying do not go out and buy, because I will. You know, I will go check out Tesco's stuff. They haven't got any Halloween stuff yet, but they have got Yule stuff. I will go check that out, and you know, John Lewis, for example, I went in there and got some stuff. There isn't a judgment here about people getting stuff. I don't have a judgment about haul videos either. I will precede mine by saying I do save up all year round. I don't feel competitively about it, personally. I just think there should be a spirit of enjoyment and sharing on haul videos. I think it can be a very positive experience, and if people are feeling really negatively about it, then suggest alternatives maybe. I don't know. Find a positive outlet for that negative feeling, because just being negative about it is no use. Create things, you know, try things out for yourself. There are so many instructional websites on how to create your own things. There are YouTube videos. I'm going, not yet because I haven't got the cash right now. Maybe I might try and include it in my Yule list, seeing how much things are. I'm going to start trying to create bath bombs. I do like Lush's stuff, but their bath bombs have got a little bit in the range of pricey for me personally. There is another company whose name I forget. Right, I will look it up while I carry on talking to you, so if I'm not staring at the camera, you will have to forgive me. Right, Bomb Cosmetics, handmade natural bath bombs, soaps, candles, skincare, gift sets, etc. I'll smack on there. Their bath bombs are around £2 each, whereas I believe the Lush ones are £3 or £4 each now, which I thought was, I'll have a look at that and check the price. Bath bombs. Yeah, but the Lush ones are £3. The first three are £3.20, £3.20, £2.95 for the small ones. How much are the bigger ones, please? £3.20, £4.20 for Fairy Jasmine. Gosh, that was one of my favourites back in the day. £4.20 for a bath bomb. I love you, Lush, but these prices. I mean, I pay for their face stuff because that's, you know, but bath bombs are 1 use or 2 uses if you split them in half. So the other company that I have used in the past, and some of their stuff is gorgeous. I bought a couple in a garden centre and went and looked at their website. Was Bomb Cosmetics. www.bombcosmetics.co.uk. I will put the link at the bottom. I will also put Lush's link at the bottom of this video if you wish to go check either of those out. But in the new year I will be, at least, I'm going to be trying to make my own, and you can all come with me for that because that's not a spiritual exercise for me, so I will show you how I have a go and whether it's successful or not. And I would encourage everybody to try have a go at creating your own stuff. Support your local traders, support people who are small-time business, and question the moral and ethics of anything you do buy. I think that's it for now. If I think of anything else, I'll make another video because this is already 40 minutes long. Woo! Many blessings.